The word norm evokes a sense of stability and trust. It gives the illusion that society will become idealistic, if all to follow a predetermined order. There was a time families that owned slaves of color are pretty typical. There was a time when women weren't supposed to wear pants. And there were times when clogs were made for men. That's right, standards change over time. It depends on each culture. And just turn the pages of history. It's not too far. We're going to have to wonder about what's called standard love. It's been mentioned a lot on social media lately. What is standard deviation? If from the beginning the standard was a vague concept. To be a reluctant victim, Cameron post. A young girl was caught by her aunt, kissing lips with a friend of the same sex. Got into a miserable situation. He was sent to a religious institution called God's Promise. Or God's Promise. Cameron, forced to participate in conversion therapy sessions, according to the advertisement, that it's possible to cure homosexuality. Perform a variety of extreme methods. This facility believes that homosexuality is a mental disorder, a sin, a spell of the devil. So is there a demon or not? And what's the outcome of this radical therapy session? Inspired by thousands of corrections, it's true in American history. Today, let's go to a movie with a strange name. The Miseducation of Cameron post, or Cameron's Miseducation post. See with your own eyes the treatments. There's been a lot of discussion so far to ask a very simple question. That's in a world of 8 billion different people. Is it too far-fetched to try to summarize a fixed standard? And by trying to bend, the teenagers follow old patterns. How big the real consequences are. Note, this is a heavy psychological work. It's about sensitive issues, so consider it before you go ahead. It all started with a Cameron post, a normal schoolgirl like any other child. There is nothing sweeter in the world than freedom, and there's no freedom sweeter than being made yourself. Sneaking her friend Collie home the afternoon, nothing. 2 teenage toddlers learn to love, put kisses on your lips. Discover each other's bodies, discover the new first love. That was until one day, at the secret senior prom between the 2 of them was discovered. I can't stand the fact that my niece is gay, and on Sundays go to the sacred church. It's a place where you 2 date. Aunt Ruth then signed up for Cameron to join a school, or rather an educational institution called God's Promise. It's run by Dr. Lydia Marsh, with my brother, Reverend Rick. Simple bungalows against the forest. Greet Cameron with a soft air. Playful music with friendly classmates. It's all about eating together. Participating in general psychotherapy sessions with the goal of having a positive impact on each other. At the same time, the children who have sin in them back to the honest way. Of course, purity can't be erased. The oppressive air that covers this entire facility. From the moment you walk into the room, Cameron's suitcase was searched to remove all items. Entertainment publications considered inappropriate. Here, students must follow strict rules about haircut, dress. You even have to prove yourself worthy to be allowed to decorate the bedroom. They're constantly being introduced to treat different. Cameron is engaged in an internal struggle between retaining a personal identity or accept all the vibrations inside. You have been so far, it's all wrong. First, to get the big picture, let's go through the methods that Dr. Lydia uses. What's done? Give each student a piece of paper. It's a picture of a submerged iceberg. Textbook here, according to find out. It's a combination of compensatory therapy, aversion therapy, as well as behavior modification, and many other psychological techniques. In this way, the doctors convince the patients that deviated sexual orientation, it's the result of psychological trauma, the behavior, living a lifestyle that is not aligned with your gender. To understand in a simple way, we just need to look at the papers that our students have. Cameron has filled in. First, we have an honest roommate. Aaron was diagnosed with gender confusion by investing too much time participating in sports activities for men. Specifically here is football. This lack of femininity became the reason for Aaron's attracted to people of the same sex. Predators only eat people they admire. Lydia said to convince the kids that their love for the same sex, it's just a distorted admiration. On the opposite side, we have Mark and Adam, two boys thought to lack masculinity, for living in a family without silhouette. The father: I have too many feminine activities with my mother, like sewing and embroidery. Middle word sentiment: Cameron also has a very strict root. That's how you feel about your friend Collie. This is due to the death of parents in the past, and you need to dig deep and heal this pain. I hope to be a normal person. Not over. This facility is also constantly stuffing aversion that sexual desire. Self-indulgence is a sign. They hide under the shadow of God, hiding under the lines, the Bible, to weave standards. Afraid of teenagers who break their own minds. Compression of desire. Fix the whole habit to align with what society wants. Erin Cameron started talking to her male friends, convinced themselves that they're attractive, and Mark and Adam changed their behavior. Dress to make yourself strong and strong. So what's the outcome of this procedure? Of course, there's no applause. What the hands of mainstream academic boards healing works by the faith of Dr. Lydia. And just pay attention. It's not hard to see. This whole facility to educate the children according to a single maxim: hate yourself. That's right, hate yourself. Hate the sinful distortion within you. In the classroom, no one objected to what Lydia and her brother had to offer. But in the dark, in dreams, the truth always has a way. Try to think of other boys. Sung Cameron: I often dream of having sex with a woman. There's no way to take away the fact that I still remember cycling with my first love. And deep inside, nothing has changed, or rather nothing needs to change. Erin believes 100% in the program. Still peeking at these beautiful fitness coaches on the radio. She snuck into bed, Cameron, and two kids clinging to each other in the dark. Like a brief happiness. It's all clear. Education at God's promise doesn't make any difference. Out of confinement and abuse of children. It didn't work. Lydia's program. It also has serious psychological consequences. The most famous is Mark's story. It was sent to Cameron a year ago by his father for being too sentimental. Mark was one of the hardest students, the most obedient, always trying to get home. Live based on the commandments. He believed he would be stronger and recognized by his father. But then, on the day of the end of the semester, another letter was sent too. It says you're still too weak, not qualified to be a man. Desperate to shout out loud. The words are still in your mouth. When I am weak, I am strong. Lie down in the theater, continuous push-up, like trying to look like a man. Tears, tears, tears dotted the floor. A child has been rejected by his father, and the drops of blood Cameron saw in the toilet that night closed a tragic story. Borrowed a schoolmate's razor. I put a little bit of anger on my genitals. He was taken to the hospital, later in a coma, and we'll never know. Can this child make a full recovery? In 1973, the American Psychiatric Association has removed homosexuality from the diagnostic manual and statistics of mental disorders. And in 1990, the World Health Organization, WHO, has also excluded homosexuality from the ICD, International Classification of Same-Sex Treatments. Not just disabled, but it also has serious consequences. About psychology, many people undergo this therapy to deal with depression, PTSD, anxiety, even at the risk of self-harm. Being forced to change one's identity, it makes them lose faith in themselves, feeling isolated and distant from the social family. The most important, every scientific study confirms that sexual orientation can't be changed with therapy. However, despite scientific publication, it was launched over 3 years ago. It's like God's promise to this day. It still exists somewhere in the world. Of course, success is only in the promises. The consequences are very clear. Is it work? Finally hidden under the cornered cover of the news, the Miseducation of Cameron post. It's still a story about finding yourself. Through the process of the teenager's resistance, the film sends a simple but powerful message about the struggle against conservative ideas, retaining a personal identity. Love your true self. At the starting point, I see it in Cameron's eyes. It always contains anxiety. It's not just the fear of being discovered, fear of Lydia's methods, but also doubts about the trend, your own sex. Look at the drawing paper, the sinking ice of the fellow. Cameron seems to be very sure. Lydia breaks down like a nail what's right. Aaron Mark Helen used the Bible as a guide. And Lydia's brother, River Rick, individual successfully cured of homosexuality, again as a living witness to her sister's curriculum. He's always happy. Be gentle and give advice. Cameron confessed. I've never attributed myself to anything. You're not religious. Too young to know if you belong in the community, LGBT or not. Cameron has not yet identified a name for himself and just respond that I don't know. That's how Lydia manipulates teenagers. Give them a model to follow. However, over time, Cameron realized the reality. No one is like what they show. Confiding in the night, Erin reveals that she's following therapy because I want to go home quickly. All my friends just want to be free, get out of here and live like a normal person. They don't even bother to ask. Lydia's method. Being AI is also gay or heterosexual as long as they are recognized by the family. Lydia's brother Rick. After witnessing Mark's distraught actions, they also show their real face. He was crying. I don't have an answer for you. That's right. In the eyes of the first patient to be cured, the pride of the God's promise base. I recognize he doesn't understand what the hell he's doing here. The journey to find the self may always be crooked, and especially it's harder for people in the LGBT community in a society that's heavily biased. I see the end of the movie. Cameron still doesn't have any answers. But you know one thing? The others here have no answers. That's a backpack. Cameron and his friends, Train and Adam, determined to escape. Here's a contrast to the beginning of the movie, when the radio in my aunt's car to take Cameron to Lydia's facility. The Gospel of Matthew chapter 10, verse 11. When you enter any city or village, go out and ask who is worthy. And stay there until you're gone. The same conservative education. It's not a worthy place, so the kids left. To sneak into the forest, they burned the papers. The ice is like a goodbye for this imprisoned place. And so, on down the highway, Jane gave everyone a photo the first day they came to Ghost Promise. And we see that the image is blurry, like the racket confusion in kids. Caught by a truck, all three climbed up against each other and let the unknown lead the way forward. It doesn't end with a stony statement. The neither sad nor happy faces of the children brings a sense of serenity because of the constant battle they've endured. But that makes sense because they're 16, 17. They don't have to have an answer for everything. They're allowed to make mistakes, allowed to feel, and allowed to think about it. Teenagers don't need to assign. I use any word. No need to explain them. Desire within yourself, and no one should have the right to force this process. Cameron took the hardest step. It's to believe that there's nothing wrong with your love for Kali. The rest of the time will respond slowly. Look at Cameron post. I also remembered a quote from a female artist, Frida Kahlo. I am my own muse. It's the subject that I know best. It's a topic that I want to learn more about. And as well as the children, there is no rush to shape yourself. Are we not? Adults with a lot of experience, power, influence. Don't rush to set a standard. Especially on sensitive issues like sexual orientation. Maybe the world needs to grow up. And it also needs to change to make it a better hiding place. Before finishing the movie, I spent time watching the movie again. It's about having a more objective view of the character of Lydia. Who can say it? Directly caused all the suffering to the students. He appears to be an evil villain. But after receiving Mark's news, I saw a glimpse of Lydia's face, full of shame. And we didn't realize that your wrong education will have consequences. It's so serious, especially if it doesn't appear. All the parents, allow your child to participate in the course. God's promise. They also take some responsibility. We have an Aunt Ruth who loves Cameron very much. Take care of her since her parents died, but can't stand it. My niece is gay. Under the corner of the table, Cameron called back, but Ruth couldn't agree, even though she knew this facility was hurting her nephew. In the end, the eternal story leads to understanding. We don't accept each other's differences. Even as I said, the world is filled with 8 billion different people. You know what we do at church every Sunday? Number. We try to fix it. All the mistakes I made when I was young. That's the first scene of the movie, and it's all about the one-sided view. Conservative ideology. The adults in the movie. We are following and thinking along. There's a very interesting detail. That's Cameron's friend, Adam. He was sent to the facility to be converted. I'm a Native American. Adam followed the old Indian ideas. I believe in winks, a term that means she's evil. It describes an individual with 2 souls, male and female. These people are not discriminated against. It even plays an important role during the holidays. However, because it contradicts the Bible, Adam's faith was rejected. And the scene where you're shaved by Lydia, maybe it couldn't be more complete than the message of hate. The concept of Christianity and Indians. That's right. The answer is that no one is right. They're simply too different. There are no bad people in the movie. Only those who don't want to. They refuse to understand each other. And more sad, it comes from your own flesh and blood. To end the video, let me quote a famous quote. You may have heard of it before sunrise. When Selena said that, if there's any magic in the world, it must be in trying to understand what others share. It may be impossible, but who cares? The miracle lies in trying. So on the contrary, if the devil that the staff at Lydia's facility talk about really existing, it must be in denial, in our turning away for what others try to share. It's not like a miracle. Rejection is easy to achieve because it's inherent in cultural differences, tendency, and identity of each person. And just look at how modern society is. What's to look on Cameron and your community? Maybe this is the bottom of the iceberg that each of us needs to take time to ponder. May the force be with you.